And start without you? All right. Okay, hey everybody. Okay, let me know that you can hear me as you join. Let me know that you can see us okay. Julio is just about to be here. Today we're going to be talking about headlines and doublespeak. But first, I want to welcome you to the DNC Marketing Facebook page. Today we're doing our Friday Q&A. Basically, we want to answer any and all questions you have about copywriting, content, marketing, funnels, selling, anything you can think of with your business and help you work through it. Julio's here now. Welcome, Julio.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome to the Friday Q&A. I'm Darian.
I'm Julio.
And we are DNC Marketing. Do you want to tell them a little bit about what we're going to be talking about today?
Okay. So let me pull out my old phone. I had it written down. I had a bit of an epiphany last night.
When they usually happen.
Right. When I'm laying in bed just hanging out. Does that happen to y'all? Okay, so as Darian mentioned, we are trying to talk about headlines. Now, what I want to talk about specifically is whether headlines should be clickbaity or click-worthy. So let me go through that. So here's what I was thinking last night. See, headlines should be click-worthy, not clickbaity. So how do you define the two? That's the biggest question, right? So I heard it described like this once. If you were selling stocks, it'd be difficult to get clicks if you put, quote, how diversification through the 2019 401k plan allows for incurred revenue through retirement funds, end quote. But you'll get a lot more clicks if you put, quote, how you can retire a millionaire just by filling out a simple form, end quote. See, like, there's a big difference there, and that's kind of what we're talking about when we refer to doublespeak. It's not about lying or anything like that, but what it is about adding some fluff or adding some layers to what is effectively like the truth. You know what I mean? It's just prettying it up. It's just making it sound a little bit cooler, a little bit nicer, or a little bit, I don't know, just more interesting than maybe it really is.
Right. So let's define doublespeak, really. And it's, like Julio said, it's a way to get your message across more efficiently, in my opinion. Or it's a way to turn your message toward the right audience. You'll see politicians do this sometimes, and the way they will frame certain things, it makes it sound really good to a certain group of people, but maybe not another group of people.
Right.
Now, that's not the way we necessarily recommend.
No, I'm going to be in the middle.
Here we go, figuring it out.
There we go. Okay.
That's not how we recommend using it. Now, doublespeak, like anything with marketing and sales, use your powers for good, not evil, right? But the point of that is to sell to the right people. Right, so we're going to be using doublespeak, or we're going to be using copy tactics and selling techniques to talk to the right kind of people. And with that, it kind of ties into what we do at DNC, which is focus on the 4 core customer personality types.
Sure.
Now, when we say doublespeak, we might be talking about one thing, right? One product, let's say a pair of earrings. But if we're selling to 4 different customer personality types, we're going to talk about those earrings in 4 different ways.
Sure. Now, keep in mind, one of the key things with the personality types is that you're getting the, let's say you're doing another headline, right? As an example. What you're doing is you're getting the overall idea and the concept, and then you're just targeting to whoever you want to, right? I want to make sure that we're clear when it comes to the personality thing that you don't have to do it 4 different ways. If you wanted to try and do it 4 different ways, you certainly can. If you wanted to try and, the only problem with that is that it creates, as you know if you've been in the course, it can create multiple funnels, which creates a decent amount of work. That being said, a little extra work to ensure that your sales increase never hurt anybody. But if you also find that your audience, the people who enjoy you, the people who buy consistently from you, and you're already making $100,000 a year, whatever your specific goal is. If you find that 80% of them, 90% of them, even 70% of them are, highly emotional people that enjoy the community aspect and all that stuff, focus on them. It doesn't have to be focusing on like the lion personality, the more dominant traits where you're just like, get this done, that blah blah blah. So my point to that is just make sure you're focusing on whatever you want to focus on, not necessarily the 4 that you need to. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So and part of that too is understanding who your customers are, right? Because if you discover, and we teach you how to test this way, basically it's like A/B testing on steroids when you use those 4 customer personality types. You're ABCD testing. We're giving you 4 options that cover the range of all customers that will come to you to purchase, and with every intention that they may come to you purchasing.
Right.
So if you find in testing all those things that the primary market you serve is just one of those, now you know that, and you can tailor everything into one funnel for it. Mm-hmm. But like Julio was saying, if you find that 70% or even 50% of your market is one personality type and the other 50% is another personality type, if you're focusing only on one, you're leaving 50% of your revenue on the table by not setting up a second funnel, by not doing double the work, yes, but you're losing money if you don't do that. Yeah. So like a lot of times when we talk to our clients about this, we encourage them to think that way and like, okay, if you only want to make 50% of your potential, that's on you. That's perfectly fine. We're teaching you ways to do the things that make you happy in your business and get you to achieve your goals.
Right.
But if you wanted to put forth a little more effort and sell to 2 different groups and potentially double your revenue, double your income, double the growth and the speed of growth for your business, now we've given you that option. And what we do is we actually focus on all 4 personality types and try to sell to all 4 personality types. Mm-hmm. And we try to speak to all 4 personality types. One, because that's what DNC is about, is we're teaching you all 4. And so we're going to walk the walk as we talk the talk. Yeah. But also because we can potentially sell to all 4. So that means we're doing quadruple the work.
Right.
But we're also pulling in 4 times the potential revenue because of that work. And so that's why we teach you that. Do you want to break down those 4 customer types?
Sure. So the 4 customer personality types are going to be lion, beaver, golden retriever, and otter. Now, some of you may already kind of be familiar with this. The concept of it isn't new, right? It's been in management for many, many years. The newest aspect of it is that instead of it being from a managerial standpoint, which is mainly just teaching you how to deal with your employees, we're trying to do it to where we structure it from a customer standpoint. And so let me go over those. Lion, they're going to be much more, again, dominant. Think of like the CEO, right? The no nonsense. They don't really want a lot of story. They don't want a lot of emotion. They want to kind of just get it done. There it is. Then you have the golden retriever. Those are going to be the people that are very emotional. They love that emotional roller coaster. They want to know everything about you. They want to be your best friend. Then you have the beaver. Those are going to be the ones that are very analytical, right? Those are the ones that they enjoy analyzing things to death, and they're very like anal about how things get done. And those you can kind of maybe think of like IT specialists or something like that. And then who did I cover? Otter is the last one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and those are going to be the people that are like much more enthusiastic. They like bright colors. They love motivation. They want to see the world in they don't see it in black and white. They see it in pinks and purples and hues of all sorts of different variations. Like they love being out there in front of people and experiencing life and interacting. They're kind of like extroverts. Mm-hmm. Hey, I was just thinking it'd be interesting to kind of put this in a movie perspective, mm-hmm. just so people get a better understanding. Because I feel like sometimes when I talk about this, some of them sound negative and some of them sound positive.
Okay.
So let's think. What would be a good otter? Bright colors, music, maybe like a Fast and Furious, like the Fast and Furious franchise, like
For
this,
sure.
All over the place, high energy, basically like just general action-packed stuff, right?
Maybe the Marvel movies.
Okay.
Well, not any
sort
of them.
Right,
okay, yeah, I would say like Oh, looks like we lost. Okay, we cut out for a second, so let us know that you can still see us. Okay, but I mean, some of the Marvel movies, the early ones, where it's like flashbang, right? Very little plot.
Yeah. And then let's see, Golden Retriever, maybe like The Notebook, something like that.
For sure.
You know, like emotional roller coasters. You laugh, you cry, you hate, you love. You know, you kind of go through the whole thing.
A rom-com.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have what else? Beaver, maybe like something like Inception.
Okay.
You know,
or even a documentary.
Something like that, like something that forces you to think and find all the Easter eggs and be like, oh my God, so this is what this meant, and you know, like you really kind of pour over it, right? And then like a lion. What would a lion be? Very straightforward, to the point. I don't know, actually.
Might not be a movie for that one.
You think that one's just more like the motivational videos you see on YouTube and stuff? With like, that's like what am I thinking of? Like a conglomeration of Tony Robbins and Gary Vee and all these people, and then they have like stock footage of people lifting weights, and they're like, get after it, do it today, da da da. Like
Maybe
that.
so. I was also thinking like just the trailer for the movie. Because now you're getting, like somebody who would just watch trailers for movies but not actually go to see it, like they know all they need to know now. Or if somebody who really hates when you spoil it for them, because they're like, now I'm not going to go see it because you told me the end.
Maybe.
Yeah. So anyway, the gist of that is like the lion just needs that information so they can make a decision.
Right.
That's all they need. They don't need the fluff. They don't necessarily even need a whole lot of data. They're trusting a single person to get that data. The beaver, probably.
Yeah.
That's why we consider them like the CEO, because they're trusting a whole bunch of people to gather all that because they don't want to waste their time. They're big picture thinkers.
Sure.
Right.
And that's what you kind of want to hit all of them whenever you're hiring too.
Yeah.
You want to see whatever your personality trait is and make sure that you're not, because I mean everybody's everything to some extent, right? I mean, so certainly some of us are much more into certain things. Think of like a baker, right? They're much more into someone whose job is baking or who really enjoys it, goes to culinary school to bake. Mm-hmm. They love understanding measurements, and they're all about, you know, eighth tablespoon this and that, you know, like myself, I can't stand it. So like whenever we bake and I you know, if I'm baking cupcakes for my son for school or something, like I read it and I'm just, it's like, you know, separate, you know, make 3 yolks instead of 3, like, you know, entire eggs, and I'm like, I'm just gonna put the whole egg in. You know, like
crazy.
It's things like that. That it's like half a cup of milk, and I'm like, well, we have, you know, I'm just gonna go ahead and kill the rest of the milk off and pour it in there, and I'll just add a little extra, you know, flour or whatever. Like it's that kind of stuff where I'm just like, whatever, I'll get it done. And it doesn't necessarily produce the best cupcakes or cakes or brownies or
anything.
Yeah.
And I'm the opposite. Where I'm just like, we don't have like highly blanched fine grain almond flour. We have to go and get that. We can't make this recipe without it because the recipe says finely blanched ground almond flour, whatever it was. I will pull out every single teaspoon, tablespoon, measuring cup, and make sure the recipe is exact so that you can't tell me if these cupcakes suck. It's not me. It's the recipe. Yeah. You can't tell me I did anything wrong with it.
Right.
So, I mean, that's the beaver in me. And then that's the lion in you. And we've also found, like, everybody has a combination. Oh, welcome, Donna. Welcome, Toby. Everybody has a combination of all of 4 personality types in them. And so when we're talking doublespeak, what we're really speaking to is using your voice as the seller, right? We have that quiz to tell you what your dominant type is. Using that quiz to understand what your dominant personality type is, which means that's your voice in your copy. And you can start to tailor that and better understand your voice in copy and content. But then taking that in the frame of mind of your customer, or having a customer take that quiz for you, somebody that you trust who's been loyal to your business for a little while, or somebody who you know is your ideal customer, having them take it and telling you what their dominant personality type is, and now that's their buying style. So while using your voice and your personality to speak to them, you also need to keep in mind what they like in their buying style, which means if you're a lion and your customer is a golden retriever, there is a huge communication gap there, right? And we've seen this with several clients, in that you're very no-nonsense to the point as an entrepreneur. Many entrepreneurs have a strong lion side, especially in their selling style. So if you're speaking to your customer, who might be that golden retriever, as a lion, you're very upfront and forthright, and you're a little bit too much for them. You might even come off as rude, or that you're not even doing due diligence in understanding or getting data and things like that. But if you're that lion, you can be forthright in your speech. You can be very frank in your pattern so your voice comes across, but still talk to them in a way that they want. So go through that emotional roller coaster that they want to hear, befriending them, giving personal details, even if that's uncomfortable to you as a lion, but knowing your customer wants to hear that as that golden retriever, you can do that. So let me know if that makes sense. Drop questions you have. Let me know which one sounds like you in the comments. I know we've got several people watching right now. Are you a lion, a beaver, an otter, or a golden retriever?
Yeah.
Or do you know? Do you have an idea, or do you have questions about that?
So another thing that you can do, and we totally recommend doing this, is, so when we first started this, we kind of were thinking like, how can we make it to where it's not just about the seller, but it's about the buyer in terms of like the quiz. You can create your own quiz, of course, and give it to your group. It's not, once you understand the idea of the personalities, it's not super difficult. What I would suggest though is instead, you'll probably get a lot more interaction if you take the concept of it and use it on like creatives, right? So go into Instagram stories, for example, and post up 2 pictures and create a poll, and have one that's much more, let's say, dominant, or what's much more endearing, much more, I don't know, just something that's bigger, brighter, whatever it is. And then you can also have one that's maybe more your general style right now. And this is going to allow you to not only see if there's room to grow and expand into other types of markets, but you kind of get a better feel for what your customers actually enjoy purchasing and buying. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I just want to make sure I'm seeing all comments. So everything's coming through. Cool. Okay. So, yeah, absolutely. And then bringing it back to kind of how we were talking about doublespeak in splitting between these different personality types and headlines. Like, if you're watching right now, we encourage you to participate. We want to hear like what kind of headlines you're putting out there. Drop one of your headlines in the comments and let us take a look and kind of try to either decipher which personality type you're going for here, or help you craft something that's a little bit, stronger toward the type you're going for.
Right. And again, using, if we're discussing the doublespeak aspect of it, the entire point of that wasn't just the personality thing, but was to have you think of headlines that are a little more click-worthy than maybe what you're currently advertising. Right, so there's plenty of times when I see something like, let's just say, X jewelry coming to a store, near you, join us now, or something like that. Mm-hmm. And it's just so bland, so like you instead of doing it that way, maybe you could, you just need to add a couple more adjectives. You just need to turn it around instead, and that I can't think of. We need a second to try to think of like an actual example of how that would work.
Yeah,
but,
I mean that one.
My example was kind of garbage.
Well, I
was pulling something, to be honest.
I think it's a great example because there's a lot of improvement there, right? Yeah. So first, I need to know who I'm talking to when I craft that headline. Right. So like, mompreneurs, or new moms who want to look pretty want to wear jewelry too, right? We all want to look pretty. So new moms, baby-proof necklaces coming to Amazon.
Yeah.
That's incredibly specific, and that's what we want in copy. We want something incredibly specific.
And of course, a creative would help with that, right?
Right, so a creative and a copy.
The idea of like a baby like pulling a mom's earrings or something, like things like that certainly help grab the reader's attention.
And you're speaking to an objection too, right? As a new mom, one of my biggest fears was like, getting the earring pulled out of my ear or having the necklace broken because it's pulled on. If it's baby proof, that's going to encourage me to want to wear that jewelry, because now you're answering that objection for me, something that I really want, that gap in that market.
Yeah.
One headline that we came up with our last piece of content was the dirty hands approach to hiring. And basically I did that because it's like, oh, what does that mean? Like I created intrigue with that dirty hands approach. And once you started to read it, it was all about actually understanding the tasks that you're assigning to people you're hiring. Mm-hmm. Right? So getting your hands dirty. So now it made a lot more sense once you got into the content of it.
Right.
But basically like using that technique to ask a question, create intrigue, get people interested in what you have to say, get them confused even so that they have to dig further to understand, or be very, very clear, right? Incredibly clear in what it is you're doing. And that's important with sales. With content, like we can play around a bit, we can get really creative, but my approach to like selling is be very clear who you're talking to, what you're talking about, and what the circumstances are around this selling, this sales, whatever's going on. Because you want to capture those people right away. Yeah.
Just make sure, once again, that you're not over-promising and under-delivering, right? So you don't want... Let's just use that example that I had again, where it says how you too can become a millionaire just by filling out one simple form or something like that, right? And then they click it, and instead of the link actually describing what you're putting out there, you instead have something that's kind of just completely different than what they were expecting. You don't put out the information about the form. You just go like, hey, we're here on, here's our Instagram tag. We are a financial, I don't know, influencers. Join us now. Like, they didn't get what they want. They're going to click away. And Facebook specifically, I think they did this in 2017, if I'm not mistaken, said that they are going to penalize, right? Penalize? Yeah. Any like clickbait, so like if they are looking at it and like 80% of your traffic goes from click to like backspace out in just a few seconds, like they're going to say, okay, you're purposely lying to the customers, so we're not going to reward you any posts you have with additional reach.
Right, and that's the difference between clickbaity, clickworthy. Clickbait's just straight up scamming people. You're just trying to get people in and clicking and not even delivering on what you're promising.
Yeah,
clickworthy.
That's always a losing battle.
Yeah, clickworthy gets people in with intrigue, with questions, with things that actually make sense once you dig into the topic, the content, everything like that. Yeah. So like with Doublespeak and all that, different things you can do are like to use a little bit of jargon, right? That can create some intrigue, and then you can explain it further in your copy, in the content there. To turn something around and make it more positive if it's not as exciting or maybe not as positive. So, for example, finding the silver lining in different topics, or even digging deeper and pulling up more information about it than just surface level. Right. So a lot of times we'll see people describing things and it's just very surface level. This product is made with these materials. Okay, great. That's not interesting for me. What's so special about this particular product? Is there a symbol on it? Is there a particular design? What's the inspiration for that design? Is there cultural significance behind it? Is there some historical significance behind it? Do you have a personal story? Does a customer have a personal story that they connected with this product about? Yep. Using those little pieces to dress it up and give it a great headline, a great product description. Those are things we're talking about in, you don't have to just stick with that first thought that came into your head. Do a little bit of digging and find what's better about it. Yeah. If you have, sorry, I have one last thought.
Go ahead.
If you have a particular, like we see scandals sometimes, and then the media will put a positive spin on that scandal, right? Like, for example, somebody lost, you have an example?
Well, I don't have an example off the top of my head, but what I was just saying is that, or I was about to say was that the media idea is as a perfect example. The idea of the news stations, right? Now, love it, hate it, the government, Trump, whatever, like, regardless of how you personally feel about the president, you can clearly see how, like, for example, you turn on, let's just say as an example, right? Trump goes up and he shakes the hand of another world leader. Just use that clear, very simple. Fox News, it'll be like, Trump greets world leader, such an amazing act of kindness. Again, terrible example, I'm just giving an example.
Great example.
And then, but on maybe like MSNBC or something like that leans more liberal, it might be like Trump, shakes hand of world leader. Did he hold on too long? Right. Is this, did he objectify this world leader by putting his hand on her shoulder? Or, like whatever the case is, like it's the same idea, but they sensationalized it in order to get their base to, or their viewers or their audience to focus.
Right.
And, they took that and they ran with it. And even if in both circumstances the articles ended up coming to the same conclusion, generally, they used those headlines, they used those pictures, they used the general 80% of the copy to describe their agenda, I guess you could say.
Right, they're speaking to their people. right? So the people who watch a certain news channel are going to be leaning a certain way. People who watch another news channel are going to be leaning another way. So that's a great example of doublespeak, actually. Those who are, for the left are going to take a left stance. Those are for the right are going to take a right stance. Hi, Pindit, how are you?
Hello.
And it doesn't matter which side you lean, they are telling the same story. And if you look at both, articles on a whole bunch of different sites, you'll see the same story is being told again and again, and they're just using doublespeak or a different slant on the story on the headline to speak to their customer base. Now, that's politics, and that's out of our realm. But that's a great example of doublespeak and how you can do the same thing in a more positive way.
Sure.
When you're, telling the same story in different places. So, for example, if you're on a podcast and then you write a blog post for, another website, and then you write a blog post for your website, you can take the exact same story and you can change it depending on who you're speaking to those different audiences, which means you're going to get a much better reaction. This is why we tell people to create landing pages specifically for different platforms when directing. So if you have an ad on Instagram, an ad on Facebook, and an ad on LinkedIn, and you have 3 different, slightly different even customer personality types on all 3, have the ad a little bit different on all 3 speaking to those types. Then have the landing page that, when they click the ad and they're directed to your website, whatever that landing page is, again, should speak to those particular people. And it can even be as specific as, welcome from LinkedIn, thanks for coming to our site. Welcome from Instagram, thanks for coming to our site. Be as specific as you can in talking to those particular people.
Yeah.
So that's our example of doublespeak. We got a few minutes left, so we wanted to talk a little bit about what we've got coming up.
Sure. Well, there's so many things. So we just got done filming the Building a Better Brand Masterclass. So that's very exciting. We're in the process of doing some final cuts to make sure that everything flowed well, that the audio synced up and all that stuff. Then we're going to be releasing that. Now that's, that's a masterclass that was pre-recorded. So, we're not going to lie to you and pretend that, hey, this is a live webinar and that you're just going to happen to join in the next 30 minutes. And, that happens all the time.
We see that a lot, yeah.
There's one guy I remember I was doing an event with, and he said, what did he say? He said, man, I've been live 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the last 9 months. And basically all that means is that, whenever you attend that webinar, he's like, hey guys, I'm joining, thank you for joining us live. We're doing this and that. And the truth is that he's not live, right? Like it's pre-recorded. It's pre-recorded. He's doing other things, and I don't find that to be a problem, which is why we're doing it. But I do find lying to be a problem. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to lie and say, yeah, this is live right now, just to try to get some extra clicks or just to try to get some extra attention for it. I'd much rather be honest up front, tell you, hey, yeah, this is pre-recorded, but we do a live Q&A every Friday. Right.
This is the first one for this.
Right.
And once those masterclasses come out, and this is just going to be the first one, we're going to have several over the coming year.
Yeah.
This is what the Q&A is mainly going to focus on, are the questions that we have from those masterclasses. And we give homework in those masterclasses as well.
Right.
They are intense. Even though the masterclasses are 100% free, they come with homework, they are intense, and we do have an expectation for you, if you're wanting to make improvements on your business, to actually do that homework and then come to these Q&As
Sure.
and ask us questions as you fill it out. Like, we're putting forth tons of effort because we actually want to help, and that's why we pre-recorded it, so that we can send it out to as many people as possible. You don't have to wait for us to show up to actually watch all that material and get the homework and make improvements.
Right. And the other aspect to it is this allows us to kind of drip feed it, which it's about a little over, just a hair over 2 hours long, and that's a lot of time for people to just sit down and stare at us. So
thank you for being here, by
the way. But so what we're trying to do is give you a little 20-minute segment every day, something like that, 25 minutes. So that way you can do it, then you can come to the live Q&A and ask whatever questions you have. And obviously, of course, if you have something that's really pertinent, you're like, hey, I launch on Friday, and it's Wednesday and I'm watching this and I finished it up, let me go ahead and you can send us an email. We'll try our best to make sure that we answer that, or send us a direct message here on Facebook or Instagram or wherever channel you're following us. So we're pretty much everywhere. Besides that, and then one other thing I wanted to make sure I mentioned is that these master classes, what they are not, they're actual master classes. They are not So a lot of webinars and things that you go to, what they are like 10 minutes of kind of, for lack of better terms, just bullshit, right? Like they just throw out some random examples of how they can help you or how important X, Y, and Z is, and they'll give you like one, maybe two like tips, and a lot of the times they're pretty general tips. And then the rest of the hour-long masterclass, so the remaining 50 minutes is just them trying to sell you their course, something like that. So we don't do that. The 2 hours, and I think it's like 2 hours and 10 minutes as of right now, and I'm almost done with the edit, so I think it's going to end up staying around there. The 2 hours, it's like 2 hours of like actual, work and content and thoughts and instructions, yeah. And then maybe like the last 10 minutes where we're pretty much doing like this and saying like, hey, there's more master classes. Hey, there's more of this. Hey, there's more of that. If you enjoyed this, follow us. If you enjoyed this, get the ebook, get the course, whatever the case is. Like, we're not trying to spend, 3/4 of that time just upselling you. We are going out of our way. We're trying to change things up. Yeah. We do not want to just do what everyone else does. We're trying to do better. Yeah. Be better.
We want to change the environment because it's a lot of stuff that makes me cringe and my skin crawl a little bit in tactics. People can be more helpful, right? And so that's what we want to do, is we want to be more helpful where we didn't find the help previously.
Yeah, give value.
Yeah. So, we've got that going on. We've also got the course, like Julio mentioned. And so as you go through the master classes, if you don't want to wait for the next master class to come up, if you want all of them together in one place that you can reference in addition to the course and the 270-page workbook and the chance to work with us one-on-one, because we only do one-on-one coaching with members in the course, that's what you would get that for. Mm-hmm. And that's why that is there. So you can binge and get through every aspect, not just one particular deep dive, every aspect of your business as fast as you can, right, with access to us and our community and all those things. Yeah. And then
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, we also have, of course, our services. So if you didn't, all this can be good and all that, but if you have more money than you have time, and you want to just go ahead and get it done as quickly as possible. Usually we're about 3 to 4 weeks booked out, so you want to make sure you try to get in contact with us as soon as possible when it comes to that. You can check these services out at dncmarketingservices.com.
Yep.
And then the course was dncmarketing.org/join.
Yep, and we'll put those links in the comments.
Right. And then finally, one of the more exciting things is the 5-minute copywriter. That's something that I'm producing. It's taken a lot of time just because it's like coding and things like that, and I'm not used to that, so I'm trying slowly but surely to get into it. And that is basically, it's sort of like Mad Libs meets copywriting, right? So we took the concept of pre-made templates and ideas and things that professional copywriters write, whether it's us that are writing it or members of our team, and we're getting these email series, or we're getting these ads, or we're getting these headlines, or whatever the case is. And then what I'm doing is basically allowing you to type in, for example, your business name. And then when you type in your business name pops up throughout all the other emails. Then as the sentence progresses, it'll say like, hey, whatever, right? First name. Hey, Janet, here at blank DNC Marketing. And again, when you put in DNC Marketing, it autofills everywhere else. We're so excited. We are so, and then instead of it saying excited, it'll have like a drop-down menu, and you click it, and it'll have
like a
15. It's not a kajillion. It's like 15 different options, maybe somewhere around there, of different like adjectives you can use. I'm excited. I'm happy. I'm nervous. I'm whatever, but it keeps to the general tone of that email. It keeps to the general tone of that sentence. Mm-hmm. So this is not just like we're just going to throw in all the adjectives we can find in the dictionary, and you just have to scroll through every time. Like
it's the right tense.
Right. There are 10 to 12 different, like you were saying, adjectives that are the correct ones that you should use. Mm-hmm. And
that's throughout the entire thing. And right. It's like product descriptions, ad copy, email series. Like we actually timed ourselves when we went through the beta of the email series, and it took us legitimately 5 minutes to create an entire like 5 email series.
Like 5 minutes and like 12 seconds.
Yeah,
But
yeah, something very, very close. And
5-minute copywriter was more catchy than 5-minute and 15-second copywriter.
Right, but the product descriptions took like all of a minute. The ad
Yeah.
copy took all of a minute. So our goal with this is to give you options again, right? The whole point of DNC is options, where you haven't had them before.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to do this quick, fast, and in a hurry, 5 minutes series done, and it's swipe copy written not just by us as copywriters, but we're employing other copywriters to give you different voices and different styles as well. So depending on what you're looking for and what you resonate and gravitate toward, you have an option there, and then you can customize it either the fastest way possible, which makes it very on brand, or you can take it as swipe copy and then completely rewrite it depending on how you want to work.
Exactly, because in the grand scheme of things, after it's all said and done, it's pretty much a copy and paste into your email service provider. So if there is a sentence or something that you're just like, I'm not feeling that one in particular, I never say that, I never do that, all you got to do is scroll down after you paste it. You just scroll down to that sentence, delete the whole sentence, and you're like, okay, now it's perfect.
Yeah,
That's it.
Make it as easy on you as possible.
Yeah, so that's the entire goal. So we're very excited to do that. It's like I said, it's just taking a little bit of time because all of this is just Darian and I. The only people we have that we employ are copywriters, so they can't really do the coding and all that and group coaching calls and things. So there's a lot that we're also trying to get accomplished and do. But.
Something else, Julio mentioned is we're going to start group coaching. And our goal with this is because we want to save our one-on-one coaching for our members. We've heard several people kind of be a little upset about that because we're discontinuing some coaching with other people. And we want to offer you another option again. So if you're interested in joining the group coaching, our goal again is to keep it very small, very tight so that we can help you on a more individualized basis.
Yeah.
So we're only taking up to groups of 10. And we'll have multiple groups throughout the month if we have the demand for it. But basically those who email us and let us know they're interested will get first dibs on that.
Yeah.
And then as we fill up and as we get more things going, we'll send out emails saying like, hey, we've got another spot open.
Right.
Hi Manita, welcome. Hi Vivian.
Hello.
Well, just joining in. Awesome. We're about to wrap up, but drop any questions you have. We'll answer them before we sign off, and then the replay will be there, and you can drop any questions, any comments you have, and we'll jump in even after we wrap things up to answer those.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, that's about the general gist of it.
Mm-hmm. That group coaching I'm really excited about. I really like the idea of a forum, of a community of tailored people, a close-knit group of people who are focused in on one thing. So my goal with the group coaching is to walk people through stages together. And what we have found is the more we are involved in masterminds and other groups and other communities, the more ideas we have.
Right.
And the more we're able to pull from other industries and be like, ooh, that's a really neat idea we haven't seen done in marketing.
Right.
How can we use that? Say from like an ice cream stand that does something different. How can we use that in our business? And then we take it and we rework it and remodel it. And we've seen that work really incredibly well because some of these tactics that are used are just tired and worn out. And that might be the reason that people are not seeing the needle move in their business.
Right.
It's because your customers have already seen this done before and they're kind of tired of it. But if we can give you this different perspective in this small group of people and then show you how to do it, like hold your hand through the entire process as a group, the group coaching,
right.
That's what we have wanted in the past.
Yeah.
So that is what we are trying to do for you as well.
There you go.
Yep.
Easy peasy. But yeah, so that was it. This was our first live Q&A. Please let us know what you thought, how we did. Otherwise, again, like Darian mentioned, leave as many comments as you like. Any questions, we're going to be continuing to pop in. We'll do our best to answer them. We're going to be doing this every Friday at 9 a.m. Hawaii time. So I think that was
3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central.
There you go.
Until daylight savings hits, then it'll change.
And so I mean, if you don't get your questions answered for some reason over this week, pop in on Friday live and add a comment and throw in a question, and we'd be more than happy to try to do that. But we do want to try to keep these relatively short. 40 minutes or under, so that way we can get on with some of just generally the other things that we have to do throughout the day, and for coaching calls and whatnot. But that's about it. We really appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining us, and I guess I'll see you soon.
We'll see you too.